Hi there, in this lesson we're going to learn about participle phrases and participle clauses. Now firstly, English verbs can change into 4 states. First, there is the infinitive form, the base form. Then there is the present form, which can change depending on the subject. Then there is the past form, and then we have the past participle and the present participle. And we can use these participles in 2 different ways, as an adjective and as an adverb. When a participle is used as an adjective, it's called a participle phrase, and when a participle is used as an adverb, it's called a participle clause. Let's first take a look at 2 example sentences that use participles as adjectives. The book written by my teacher became the bestseller. The man standing on the bridge is my teacher. In the first sentence, we have the long noun phrase, the book written by my teacher, which functions as the sentence subject. And within this noun phrase, the participle phrase, written by my teacher, functions as post-modifying words and modifies the head noun, the book. Participle phrases that begin with a past participle generally has a passive meaning. So it often comes with a by plus noun structure, which acts as the agent to say who wrote the book. In the second sentence, the participle phrase is standing on the bridge, and this is again parts of the noun phrase and modifies the head noun man. Participle phrases that use the present participle, the ing form, has a more active meaning as opposed to past participles that indicate a passive meaning. Now, because participle phrases modify nouns and function like adjectives, they are always positioned next to the noun they are modifying. Let's now move on and take a look at participle clauses. Participle clauses are in essence another type of a dependent clause, and they function like adverbs, so they help to say how, why, or when the action in the independent clause is performed. Let's take a look at 2 example sentences that use participle clauses. Determined to prove his doubters wrong, the athlete trained non-stop for this competition. Walking through the park, the scientist understood where he had gone wrong. So in each of these sentences, we begin with a participle clause, and they help to modify the action of the verb in the independent clause. In the first sentence, the participle clause explains the reason why the athlete trained non-stop for this competition. And in the second sentence, the participle clause explains when the scientist understood where he had gone wrong. The scientist understood it while walking through the park. So both participle clauses help to modify the verb in the independent clause. Now, generally, there are certain rules participle clauses follow. First, the participle clause can be positioned before the independent clause or after the independent clause. But either way, it is separated from the independent clause using a comma. Second, you can only use the participle clause if the implied subject in the participle clause is the same as the subject in the independent clause. This means that in these examples, the implied subject in the participle clauses are the same as the independent clause, as in the athlete was determined and the scientist was walking through the park. Lastly, each participle clause is related to a certain meaning. In the first sentence, the participle clause gives a reason for an action, and in the second sentence, it provides an action that was happening simultaneously. Now, in this lecture, we have seen how we can use both participle phrases and participle clauses. And while their use is not so common in everyday speech, they are common in academic English as they help the author to provide more information about certain nouns, and they also help to form relationships between ideas. So again, after this lecture, do make sure to take the quizzes and use the worksheet to strengthen your understanding of participle phrases and clauses. Okay, so that's it for this lecture on participle phrases and participle clauses.